yo, check it. 9th and 10th regions, stand up. I say stand up. Stand up. Bright lights shining, about to put on the show. The Stay Hot podcast where the real ones go. High school hoops, future legends on deck. Talking next up, star sport a Nike check. From the hardwood grind to the highlight play. Breaking ankles, dropping dimes, scoring every way. Chasing big moments in every manner. From driveway dreams to championship banners. It's the passion, the culture, the hustle, the grind. Every jumper, every crossover, greatness defined. Shooting the deep three or rocking the rims. On a small town stage or in sold out gyms. So lace up your kicks, turn the volume up. The season don't end till we get to rough. Future legends in the making, every player grinds. A Stay Hot podcast where the stars align.
Welcome to the Stay Hot podcast. I am Mr. Stay Hot himself, Coach Patrick Kelsch. And as you can tell, I'm a little empty-handed tonight. My co-host Evan Dennison has been out with the stomach bug. Seems to be going around hitting people pretty hard right now. And when that stomach bug strikes, it bowls a 300. But tonight's show is sponsored by Link NKY, the largest newspaper in Northern Kentucky, covering Boone, Kenton, and Campbell County. Always thanks to NKY for their continued support and sponsorship. It's going to be a little bit different doing things tonight by myself. I'm always used to have Evan here beside me to bounce ideas off of and talk high school basketball. So when you're on here watching the show, you can comment. Your comments do pop up live to where I can see those. Just join me and talk basketball with me. It helps make the show a little bit easier, makes the show a little bit better, and nothing better than talking high school hoops, especially in our basketball-rich area of the 9th and 10th region. So if you're watching on Twitter, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, either way, you can hit the comment button, comment on the show, ask questions, do whatever, and, we'll take it from there. Tonight, we're going to focus on the holiday season, 9th and 10th regions, and all the action of the teams and where they played at over the holiday break, kind of what the results were and what they got to look forward to in the second half of the year. I do know the 9th and 10th regions both have their Class A tournaments coming up next week. If I'm not mistaken, I think the 10th region starts theirs on January 10th. That'll be at Bracken County. And I'm not mistaken, I think the 9th region starts their Class A tournament on January 13th. The 9th region Class A is kind of like a gauntlet, just like their region is. Some of the best teams in the region are Class A. I think Beechwood, Covington, Holy Cross, and I'm sure there's some that I'm forgetting. I'm not much of a 9th region stalwart. Evan's given me some notes and things to talk about, but I do know that, Holy Cross, Newport, trying to think who else is in that 9th region. All A, Holy Cross, Newport. I'm losing my train of thought on the All A, but Beechwood, and Beechwood. But something to start out with for a little food for thought here in the 9th region. The 35th district, which contains the teams of Beechwood, Covcath, and Holy Cross. All three of those teams started the year out, 10-1, and two of those three teams still only have one loss. Beechwood has lost their last two games, but they've lost those last two games by a combined 2 points. They lost each game by 1 point each. So Beechwood started out really hot, going 10-0, and I got to watch them in the Taylor County Farm Bureau Holiday Classic over the break because Pendleton County was also playing in that same tournament. So I got to actually watch Beechwood play, and I saw them play in the finals against Harlan County, and that was just a great high school basketball game to watch. Harlan County ended up winning that game 62-61, but Beechwood has a very nice basketball team, and Coach Ross Hart does a nice job coaching them. And after Beechwood, Holy Cross, they lost their last game, I think, of 2025. Holy Cross is currently 12-1. And one of the more prestigious holiday tournaments in the state of Kentucky actually happens in the 10th region of Montgomery County in the Gateway Holiday Classic. Holy Cross actually won that, and they beat a team out of North Carolina, Birdie, North Carolina. I'm not familiar with them, but they also beat Scott County. And I know it's been a while, but Scott County's got a squad this year. Really nice team. And then they beat Montgomery County in the finals. And in the finals, I think the finals was 90-83. And I know when we talked to Coach Ricardo Johnson several weeks ago on the Stay Hot podcast, he was looking forward to that tournament and the competition that it provided to challenge his club to see kind of where they stand. But I guess he's got a little bit better idea now, considering they won that tournament. So congratulations to Coach Johnson and his Holy Cross Indians on their 12-1 start, as well as their Gateway Holiday Classic Championship title. Also want to say congratulations to Luke Arlinghouse, Brady Gabbard, and Nate Rominger. Those three gentlemen were named to the all-tournament team of the Gateway Holiday Classic in Montgomery County. The one loss they have was at the Swagger Classic, which is the holiday classic that takes place every year at Bellevue. They lost to Evangel Christian, which, if you follow high school basketball, you're pretty familiar with the name Evangel Christian, which, you know, they've won 9 straight, and they're currently 10-2. So a very nice ball club in their own right. So Holy Cross is currently 12-1. And then Covington Catholic, they were real busy over break. They're 12-1 currently, but they went 3-1 in the King of the Bluegrass, with their only loss being to Louisville Mill. And then after the King of the Bluegrass, they traveled to Riverview Ram Jam in Sarasota, Florida, where they went 3-0 and won the title. So Covington Catholic at the break is sitting at 12-1, and I know they have a busy schedule coming up in January. And I think either end of January or early February, you're going to see Covington Catholic, Holy Cross, you know, play each other, which that would be a matchup that I'd want to see or watch if I had the opportunity to, and, you know, my team wasn't playing. But so if you're looking at that 35th district, Covington Catholic, Holy Cross, and Beechwood, you know, all three of those teams combined for 4 losses. So that's going to be a real competitive district, and whoever comes out of that district is going to be battle tested and going to be more than ready for the 9th region tournament, which in its own right is a gauntlet itself, kind of like the All-A is there. So the only team in the 9th region that finished the 2025 year undefeated was Highlands. And I hope I wasn't a jinx to Coach Listerman last show when he came on the Stay Hot podcast. But they lost their first game of 2026 to a fellow 9th region foe in Ryle. And that just kind of shows you just what the 9th region is. You know, Ryle's not having one of their strongest years. They're currently like 5-6 currently 5-6. And they took down Highlands, who at the time was like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-0. So now Highlands is currently 10-1. So, you know, congratulations to Ryle on getting them a big victory to start the 2026 year. Connor was another team that I thought had a pretty good Christmas break or a holiday season. Of course, you know, we've talked about Connor on here before. They have one of my favorite players in Finn Loudon, who had a great holiday break. But Connor was they went 2-1 at the Montgomery County Boys Holiday Classic, the Gateway, which seemed to have a lot of local teams itself, as well as, you know, teams from out of state. You know, the Gateway Holiday Classic attracts a lot of teams from outer state and all over the state of Kentucky, just because of its competition and how well that tournament's ran. But Connor went 2-1, and they got wins over Henry County, and 10th region foe, Nicholas County. And then I think their loss in the Holiday Classic came at the hands of Montgomery County in the first round. That was a 79-78 win for Montgomery County. So if you look at it like this, Montgomery County went to the finals and lost to Holy Cross. Connor lost to Montgomery County by 1 in the first round. So it just kind of shows you that it very easily could have been Connor playing Holy Cross in the finals. And then after Christmas, the post-Christmas tournaments, they went to the Jim Rose Central Bank Classic, which was at Lexington Christian Academy, and they went 3-0 there and won that tournament, beating, I guess, 9th region familiar opponent in Lloyd Memorial. And there were several 9th region teams there. Ryle was there, Lloyd Memorial was there, Connor. So a lot of good competition at the Jim Rose at Lexington Christian. So it just seems to me like, the 9th region is very strong from top to bottom, like it always is. Dixie Heights is a team that I think Evan talked about at the beginning of the season, is one of those teams who, 5, 6, 7 range that, has a good solid team that could make a run. And they went 2-1 in the Railroad Classic in Estill County, and they lost in the finals to LaRue County. So, Dixie Heights is currently, a 3-loss team, 10 wins, 3 losses. So another team that's got double-digit wins, right at Christmas break. They did beat St. Henry on Friday, January 2nd. So they did have one of those wins that was, after the holiday season. Well, I guess it still is the holiday season, day after New Year's Day. So, but the 9th region's going to be, battle tested all year long. Kind of reminds me of like if you were to watch college basketball, kind of like the SEC, every night in, night out, you're going to face an opponent that if you don't bring your A game, that you're not going to win. And it doesn't really matter what the records are. You can kind of throw those out the window. But if you're not going to bring your A game, your chances of winning that night against a 9th region opponent are slim and none. And Slim just left town. So, which is kind of shows you where you're at, kind of shows you what you need to do and, what you have to, or where you need to be ready to compete in the 9th region. We'll talk about some 10th region stuff, then we'll kind of go back and forth between some 9th and 10th region stuff, because a lot of these teams are, play each other a lot due to the proximity. But in the 10th region, I'm just going to kind of start at the top. And GRC, they're currently 8-3, but GRC hasn't lost to a 10th region opponent. I probably can't tell you the last time they lost to a 10th region opponent. Probably last year, Montgomery County in the region finals. But I think before then, I'm not real sure. They've kind of had a stronghold on the region for a while until Montgomery County got a hold of them last year. But they went to the Beach Ball Classic, which, if you're a high school basketball fan, you've probably heard of the Beach Ball Classic. You've probably watched it televised in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And they went 2-1 and finished 3rd place in that tournament. And I think if you were to talk to Coach Cook, he was on here and he talked about this tournament. But if you were to talk to him after they played in the tournament, I think he'd tell you that 2-1 at the Beach Ball Classic was a successful trip. And Montez Gay, who top 3 player in the region in the 10th, he was named to their all-tournament team. Montgomery County also played in a pre- and post-Christmas tournament. They went 2-1 in their Gateway Holiday Classic that they host every year. They took a loss in the finals in Covington Holy Cross, which we've already mentioned and talked about. They also 2-1 post-Christmas, and they played in Virginia. It doesn't really say what the name of the tournament was in Virginia when I was researching it yesterday. But it seems to me like Coach Dustin Highs kind of hit the ground running, kind of picked up right where they left off. And they lost their first game in Virginia to Hamilton Heights Christian Academy, and they went on to beat Hampton, Tennessee, and then Bristol, Virginia. So, a 2-1 trip to Virginia playing against that level of competition is a pretty good week there for Coach High. They got another rough game, their first game of the 2026 is Bryan Station, which is tomorrow. Bryan Station's a top 25 team in the state. So that will be a game to put on your calendar if you're looking to watch high school basketball tomorrow and you don't have any games in your area that are close or you want to watch. But Bryan Station is currently 8-4. They've had they went a 2-1 in the Republic Bank Classic, and then they also went 2-1 in the White Greer Maggard that's at Lexington Catholic. So, that just kind of shows you what kind of matchups that's going to be with Montgomery County tomorrow. And that game is at Montgomery County. So if you're looking for a game to watch, that would be one on my list that I would say that nothing to do and you want to travel a little bit, head over to Mount Sterling and check that game out. Next is Nicholas County. Nicholas County also participated in the Gateway Holiday Classic. Nicholas County went 1-2. They lost to Connor and Scott County, two formidable opponents that are both having very good seasons this year. And I think that's just going to make Nicholas County a lot better. Then they went down to the Chain Rock Classic, which I'm going to speak here. I'm not 100% sure if I'm right, but I think that's near Pineville or around Pineville, Kentucky. I think I've heard of that before, and it's one they've had for a while. They went 3-0 down there. And with wins over Jackson City, Pineville, and Trimble County. The only game down there that appeared to be competitive was the host in Pineville. That was a 64-58 victory for Nicholas County. Coach Spencer Morris, going into the All-A, seems to have the Blue Jackets rolling. They won their last 4 games, 5 of their last 6, and they got Sayre tomorrow, which will be their last game before they open up in the All-A against Calvary Christian. Once again, the All-A will be at Bracken County. Before we leave tonight, I'll try to put the brackets up on the screen here in case some of you want to go watch that or some of you want to check out the 10th Region All-A. I'll have the brackets on the screen for you to kind of check, see who plays who, but that tournament will be at Bracken County. The one thing of note, I noticed when I watched Nicholas and Harrison boys the other night on NFHS, I noticed that Braxton Martin did not play, and I saw in the handshake line that he was in a walking boot. I don't know if that's precautionary. I don't know if he's out for an extended amount of time. I'm not 100% sure what that is. Maybe somebody can comment and help us out there if somebody's listening or watching from Nicholas County. Or if you're watching on replay, you can always private message me on Twitter, and maybe we can figure out I hadn't heard that Braxton had gotten hurt, hadn't seen anything on social media, but I did notice he was in a walking boot against Harrison County on Saturday. So hats off to Braxton. Hopefully it's nothing serious. Hopefully he's back for the All-A Classic, because I really think Nicholas County has a chance to not only, win the 10th Region All-A, but also make a run at the All-A State. I think they have a nice basketball team. Next is Campbell County. Campbell County's 9-3 currently. They went 2-1 at the Planet Fitness Holiday Classic at Central Hardin. And I think their loss was to the host Central Hardin, and that appears to have been in the finals. And then and I'd say this is unfamiliar territory for the Camels. They've currently lost 2 in a row, and I'm not real sure the last time you can find a Campbell County team that's lost 2 in a row is. I bet it's been a while. But they lost to Bishop Brossart in the crosstown shootout on Saturday, January 3rd at Campbell County Middle School. And Brossart, no way else to put it. That's kind of a disappointing loss for Coach Souter in Campbell County. A very impressive win for Coach Franzen and Bishop Brossart. But if any of you all have coached or played in high school and you've played your rivalry or your rivalry game or your rival, it doesn't really matter who the better team is on paper. When you toss the ball up, anything can happen. I've seen it too many times at college level, at the high school level. But hats off to Bishop Brossart for pulling ahead in that game. I've seen multiple scores for that game. I'm not 100% sure what the final score was. The internet says 71-68. I've seen 71-58. So I'm not really sure what the final score was in that game. But hats off to Coach Franzen. Bishop Brossard, I don't think, is a team that many people expected a lot from at the beginning of the year. But that win right there, I think, has opened some eyes and also gives Bishop Brossard a legit chance in the All-A. I think them and Nicholas County are the two best teams in the 10th Region All-A, and I think they're opposite of each other in the brackets to where that would be a finals matchup. And as is in any tournament, you want the two best teams playing each other in the finals. And Brossard's first-round opponent in the All-A will be Augusta, and that's also on Saturday, January 10th, and that will be at 6 p.m. that night. So Brossard has two more games this week, two tough games. They got Pendleton County at home tomorrow, and Coach Monroe and Pendleton County had a nice holiday break where they won some games, and then they go to Highlands, which, Highlands we just talked about being the last undefeated team in the 9th Region, who just now lost their first game, after the new year. So that'll be a good test for Coach Franzen after coming off the big emotional win against Campbell County. So hopefully, they don't have a letdown. Sometimes when you play those rivalry games and you have a big emotional win like that, sometimes the next game could be a letdown, which will be Pendleton County, then Highlands, and then they'll have Augusta in the All-A. So once again, hats off to Brossard on that big win. Campbell County, they got a game tomorrow against the Cincinnati Trailblazers, and they're from Westchester, Ohio. I can't tell you the first thing about the Cincinnati Trailblazers. I think they're a home school, but don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. Being out of state and not with the KHSAA, Ryherds or the scoreboard doesn't really have much information on the Trailblazers. So I just hope they don't have like Clyde Drexler or Terry Porter or Kevin Duckworth, anybody like that on the Trailblazers. That might be a bad matchup for Coach Souter and the Camels. Scott High, they're a team that I think after the summer when Aaron Hampton, who a lot of people thought was Scott's best player, got hurt, and I think he's out for the year, maybe an ACL injury or ACL tear. With him missing the full season, I think a lot of people wasn't expecting Scott to do a whole lot or maybe even, be competitive in their district. But I think after the start of their season, they're like 7-3. They just come off a big win against Pendleton County at Pendleton County on Friday, January 2nd, the day after New Year's. I watched that game. They shot the ball extremely well from the perimeter. And when you shoot the ball as well as they did that night, they're going to beat a lot of teams. They shot 48% from three, 10 of 21 overall. Ty Cook made 4 of 7. The Clemens brothers, I'm assuming they're brothers. I'm not real sure, but they were 3 of 6. And then Jaden Dodd also was 3 of 7. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, when I looked up Scott earlier, they shoot about 40% as a team on the year from three. So anytime they're shooting a three ball that well and they're making 10 a game, they're going to be in a lot of games. So Scott, they went 2-0 in their Scott Winter Classic. They beat Bluegrass United. Then they also beat Woodward Career Technical. And I think that's the same team that just beat Beechwood by 1 point a couple nights ago. So a great win for Scott High. Then in the Swagger Classic, they lost to Evangel Christian, who beat Holy Cross. And then they also lost to Newport. So Scott's going to enter, they got a game tonight. It is their first district matchup. They're on the road against Calvary Christian. So that'll kind of give you a more look into that district and, kind of get Scott or Calvary. Either one of them will get a head start on a 1-0 start to that district with Campbell and Brossard, one of the tougher districts of the 10th Region. Definitely one of the more competitives. Next, Bourbon County. Bourbon County is one of those teams that's I'm not going to say an enigma, but I really think after the Mason County win and Western Hills win, I wanted to see them put up a little bit stronger fight against Montgomery and Campbell, which were both lopsided losses, but they bounced back nicely. Got a nice win against Estill County. Then they went 2-1 at the Railroad Classic in Estill County, beating Berea and Breathitt County, and also they lost to Clay County. So a good showing for Bourbon County in the Railroad Classic. That win against Berea was in overtime, and it's kind of strange how it all worked out that they played Berea in the Railroad Classic and won in overtime, because their first game in the new year was also against Berea, and it was in the Tim Short Automotive Classic at GRC, and they lost a close one there, 71-64 to Berea. So it's kind of like that NBA schedule, where they did back-to-back of that NBA. I think it was the COVID that year where they would do like on one night you would play at home against a team, and the next night you'd play on the road against that team, or kind of that COVID scheduling. And they played Berea 2 straight games, and their next game is going to be Friday at home against Scott County, which will also kind of give us an idea, where Bourbon County's at. And then after that, they got GRC the following Tuesday in a district matchup. So 2 tough games in a row for Bourbon County. And I'm really thinking that, this tough schedule here is just going to make them better. And I look for this district to be a lot more competitive come February than it is right now. Pendleton County, like I mentioned earlier, I thought Pendleton County had a really good holiday break when they traveled to the Pikeville Invitational Tournament. They also played in a pre-Christmas and a post-Christmas tournament. Their post-Christmas or pre-Christmas tournament at the Pikeville Invitational, they won the first night against Hazard. They lost the game, or they won the first two. No, they won the first game against Hazard. Then they lost the next night against Pikeville. And the score against Pikeville was 57-44, but I think it was closer than the score indicated. And then they played Huntington Expression Prep on the third day, and they won a close game there and went 2-1 at the Pikeville Invitational Tournament, another one of those tournaments in the state of Kentucky that draws a lot of good talent and a lot of good teams. Then post-Christmas, they traveled to Campbellsville, which is the Taylor County Farm Bureau Holiday Classic, which I mentioned that a little bit earlier, talking about Beechwood. But they also went they went 1-2 there with a win against Thomas Nelson. They lost to Campbellsville, the host, 60-53 in the first night. That was a really close game. Both teams were exchanging leads in the fourth quarter, and they lost to PRP, or Pleasure Ridge Park, the last night. But that night on Saturday, the 27th, when they played Thomas Nelson, I got to say that junior Parker McCandless hit a 3 at the buzzer to win that game. They were down 53-52, and it looked like a broken play. And if I remember correctly, it kind of looked like Parker was falling out of bounds on the sideline in that deep corner where the sideline and baseline meet, and kind of just like threw it up, and it kind of went in like nothing but net, like didn't even hit the rim. And that was at the buzzer with no time left, which prevailed Pendleton County to a 55-53 victory over Thomas Nelson. And then, coming back home, they won a deciding game against Williamstown, and then they lost kind of a disappointing game to Scott in a game that, I think Coach Monroe and the boys expected to win. And then, tomorrow night they travel on the road to Bishop Brossart. And then on Thursday of this week, they will play Robertson County at Robertson, and that will be the first district game for Pendleton County of the season. And, Bishop Brossart, one thing I thought they did that was really cool was they had a classic over the holiday break that was named for Dave Schabel. Anybody who's been around the region long knows that they refer to Dave Schabel as Mustang. I usually call him Mr. Mustang, And I think it's a really cool gesture for Bishop Brossart to, have a classic named in his honor. And anytime, if you've ever been to bmustangs.net or ever listened to any Brossart games on the radio, you've heard him call games. Just a big loyal supporter of Bishop Brossart, and not only Bishop Brossart, but also 10th Region basketball. Huge fan of 9th Region basketball as well. He's told me some stories from the 9th Region in the past. So just a shout out to Brossart for that gesture, and also shout out to Mr. Mustang himself, Dave Schabel. Somebody I'd like to get on the show at some point in time. So I'm going to have to work on that because I think you ought to enjoy listening to him as well. In the Crosstown shootout, as we mentioned, Brossart beating Campbell County. And I think I read somewhere that, this was Brossart's first win over Campbell County in maybe 15 tries or 6 seasons or 15 seasons or something. I know it was a long time before or the last time Brossart had beaten Campbell. So it's good to get that monkey off their back. But I shout out to Drew Steffen in that game. I saw where he hit 20 points and had 6 made 3-pointers. So that's a big-time game and a big-time matchup. And also, hope I pronounce this right, Carson Hesse. He didn't miss a shot. He was 6 for 6 from the field, and I think he was, 4 of 4, 5 of 5 from the free throw line in that game. So, he was 6 of 6 from the field, 2 of 2 from the free throw line for 15 points. So another big-time performance and a big-time game. And if that game's just any kind of precursor from what that district holds, then, put on your seatbelt, buckle up, because it's going to be a fun district tournament. Paris is a team that I feel like is on the rise. I know they only have 1 win right now, but in their last few games, they've been playing a lot of competitive basketball. I saw where Nicholas County, right before the break started, only beat them by 4. They got a win on the 22nd against Kentucky Country Day. And then Madison Southern on Friday, January 2nd, beat them 72-70. So after going by what the doctor of sports, Ivan Rice, said last week on the show, or I guess 2 weeks ago now on the show, and kind of what their results are pointing towards, I look for Paris to continue to improve as the season goes along. And they got GRC tomorrow night at GRC. That's going to be a rough one. I don't think that's any secret to anybody. There's a lot of people that's going to have a lot of rough games against GRC this year. And, then they got West Jessamine on Thursday before they take on St. Patrick in the first round of the 10th Region All-A Classic. So they got 2 games this week against strong opponents before going against St. Patrick in the All-A. And I would like to think that their tough schedule to this point will help them in the All-A tournament. Mason County, they're a team that, and we're not used to saying this, and this is not something that, people in the 10th region or people in our area is accustomed to say, but Mason County is struggling. And if you think about what they've lost the last few seasons, as far as, Jake Feldhouse, and then Myrick, who's at Cove Cath now, who's having a great season for Covington Catholic. You lost those type of players last couple of years, and it just seems like those players are hard to replace. And they have had some good year. I know Ben Brookbank's having a solid season. I know that also Jay Smurs is having a solid season. Both those guys are averaging 19 and 17 points respectively. So, so they're getting some good individual performances, but they've yet to, put it all together. They got Lewis County on Friday of this week, and then they got next week Campbell County and St. Pat. So they got a few games coming up down the stretch here that I think we're going to find out, what Mason County is going to have as the season progresses, and what areas they're improving on. And, because the thing is, it's been a while since Mason County's lost that district. the 39th district. But I will tell you this, the 2 wins they have this season are both against district opponents. They beat Augusta in a close one at the Fieldhouse on the 5th. Then they beat Brighton County in a close one at the Fieldhouse on the 16th, of December. And they still got Augusta and Brighton County coming up in back-to-back Fridays on January 23rd and 30th. They got St. Pat next week, next Friday. So that'll be all 3 teams in the district they've played. And that'll kind of give you kind of where that district's at. Right now, I think Augusta and Bracken County have both beat St. Pat. Let me double check here. I don't know if Bracken County's played St. Pat yet. No, Bracken County hasn't played St. Pat yet. But Mason County currently 2-0. I think Augusta's 1-1. Bracken County should be 1-1. And then St. Pat is 0-1 against Augusta. So currently right now it looked like Bracken and Augusta would meet up again in the first round if the district were to start today. Mason County would be the 1 seed. Mason County played in that Legacy Nissan Dribble Drive Challenge as at South Laurel. Shout out to my good buddy, Jeff Davis, who coaches at South Laurel. But they lost 3 games. The first 2 pretty competitive against East Jessamine and Owen County. And it looks like Lafayette out of Lexington on the East Jessamine, Owen, and Wolfe County. All 3 of those games appeared to be competitive. Then they kind of took one on the chin to Lafayette and Rowan County, their last 2. So their next game will be this Friday against Lewis County on January 9th. Bracken County didn't play any games or in any tournaments. However, they played the Kobe Halls Classic right before. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Caden. Let me go back and check that out. It looks like Bracken County did play. They opened up the season with St. Pat at St. Pat. So Bracken County is currently 2-1. Bracken County 179-72. Thank you, Caden, for that. But then Bracken County played in that Kobe Halls Classic, which is another classic named after a legend in Bracken County. And hats off to Terry King for getting that done and having that classic named after Colby, who was just a great athlete for Bracken County in his time. I played against his brother Ashley, who was another good athlete, not just basketball either, but both of them solid baseball players. But they lost to Danville Christian and then Anderson County before beating Frankfort Christian on the 22nd. Then they played Frankfort Christian the next game a week later and lost a close one. They got Robertson County at home tomorrow, Dayton at home on Thursday, and then it says they got Robertson at home in the All-A on Friday. So they got 3 very winnable games coming up here. And I'll be honest with you, and if we had to give a surprise team in the 10th, I would definitely mention Bracken County. They started out 5-0 before they lost a tight one to Mason County. But Terry King's done a great job with that bunch this year. And I look for 3 more wins his next 3 games. And, maybe after Robertson County, he can, make a run in the All-A. I don't think Augusta played any. Augusta's last game was in the Kobe Halls Classic on December 20th before they went to Bellevue on January 3rd. So they played in the Kobe Halls Classic as well. They played Dixie Heights and WEB Du Bois, losing both those games. And then they opened up the new year with a good win at Bellevue. Bellevue now coached by longtime girls coach Tommy Sorrell. And I'll be honest with you, he does a good job. And Bellevue at home's a tough place to play, and that's a good win for Coach Henson and his Panthers. They got Campbell County Wednesday this week, and then they got Brosser on Saturday in the 10th region tournament. So 2 tough games back-to-back for Coach Henson. I'm trying to think here. St. Pat is another one of those teams. I think if you ask people, they would say that they were a little surprised at how well Lex Turner's done with that bunch this year. St. Pat, their schedule is against a lot of schools of similar size than them. They're not going out playing a lot of the bigger schools, but with their numbers and, the results they've had the last few years. Lex, who I've gotten to know, I was his co-worker for a couple of years at Robertson County, just a great guy, great coach. Every game they've played this year has been competitive. Like the worst margin of defeat they have is 61-47 against Felicity out of Ohio. A lot of the games have been single digits, and they've beat Robertson County twice. Tomorrow they got Heritage Academy at home, and then Thursday they got Villa Madonna, and then Saturday they have Paris in the All-A Classic, which I kind of expect that game at Paris in the All-A Classic probably to be a little closer than most. I think Paris's athletes and maybe depth might wear it down, but St. Pat and they have Amari Myrick, who can play for just about anybody in the 10th region. He's averaging 29.7 points a game, shooting 52% from the field, or I should say 53% from the field, averaging also 8 rebounds a game. He's only shooting 45% from the free throw line. He's left 32 free throws out there. So if he gets that down, you can probably add a couple, maybe 2-3 more points a game to his average. So kind of hats off to Amari. I'd say 29.7 is probably the leading scorer in the region. Robertson County. I think they went down to Lynn Camp or Casey County over the break and got in 2 games down there. I think it was Casey County, and lost our close one to Lynn Camp on the 31st, New Year's Eve. And then they followed that up with another good performance on January 2nd. And Coach Brandon Henson and his Black Devils got their first win of the year against Williamstown. So hats off to Coach Brandon Henson. He's got Bracken County and Pendleton County this week, and then Bracken County again in the All-A Classic. So hats off for their first win. And also I noticed on Facebook or Twitter where Nathan Turner got his 500th career rebound for Robertson County. So congratulations to Nathan. Once again, if any of you guys listening are family members, or if any of you players are listening, if you how do I want to say it? If you know of any milestones, accomplishments, feats, anything that somebody has reached during the week or whatever, just shoot me a message on Twitter at the Stay Hot Podcast or at PT Kelch on Twitter. You can message me on Facebook. You can do whatever to let me know. I'd like to recognize as many student athletes as I can and continue to keep in mind why we do this. And it's to promote these teams, players, and everybody to, just recognize the kids for doing what they do. And sometimes kids don't get the recognition they deserve. So I kind of want to be that channel that's willing to recognize kids for, doing well, whether it be 500 rebounds, 1,000 points, 1,500 points, whatever. But I'm going to try to share my screen with you all. And this is on 10thregion.com, created by Will Jones. The host, the site, the graphics, everything's created by Will Jones. You probably see him at a lot of games to where he is able to take pictures but I would recommend you going to 10thregion.com at his website. He's got the history of the 10th region, a history of each team, all the way back. It's just a wealth of knowledge and information. And I would highly recommend you checking out 10thregion.com if you're a fan of 10th Region basketball. But this right here is the brackets for the Class A tournament. They'll open up on Saturday. Actually, I should say Friday night at 7:30. You'll get Bracken and Robertson. Saturday at 11 is Calvary Christian and Nicholas County. Saturday at 2:30, you have Paris versus St. Patrick. Then Saturday at 6, you'll have Augusta versus Bishop Brossart. And you'll notice that there's a lot of time in between, and that's because the girls' games will be in between. So, for example, like Augusta on Saturday, January 10th at 6. I would say the girls' game's probably 4:30. Kind of like an hour and a half before the girls and boys both. So, but that is the 10th Region All A Classic bracket, and you can find that at 10thregion.com. Also, I'm not so sure I know where to find a 9th Region bracket at, but I know if you go to, let me see here. If you go to, all of you are probably familiar with ryherds.com or the 10th Region scoreboard by the KHSAA. You will know that you get you get something like this, and it may not even be for you to see, or may not be big enough for you to see. I don't know how to make it bigger. But anyways, if you can see this here, I was looking for maybe the hourglass or whatever, whatever that thing's called. I can't think of it. Had a brain lapse. But anyways, you go to KHSAA and you find a 9th Region team and you click out to the side where it says 9th Region All A Basketball Tournament. It'll at least give you the first round matchups so you can kind of see from there. It looks like it starts with Dayton versus Villa Madonna. All these games are at the Holy Cross and Covington Gymnasium. Beechwood will take on Heritage. Ludlow versus St. Henry. Newport versus Bellevue. And then it looks like Wednesday, you'll have winners take on Newport Central Classic. Sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied. I'm doing too much talking. This is where I usually rely on Evan. Newport Central Catholic will take on winners of one game, and then Covington Holy Cross will take on the winners of another game. And it appears that whole entire tournament will be at Covington Holy Cross. All right. Let me see if I at the stage. All right. So with that being said, it looks like for those teams that aren't in the All A, because if you've not coached at an All A school or participated in All A school, you may not really understand, what it is what it means to some of these small schools to get the opportunity to play at the state level. I've been blessed with multiple opportunities to coach in the All A state, and it's just a remarkable experience for all the small schools. But for some of those schools that don't participate, GRC's got Ashland Blazer this week on Thursday. Then on Saturday, they got Frederick Douglass. I look for that to be 2 games that'll be worth watching. But I think a game, in the next week or so that you need to pencil in on your calendar is they go to Montgomery County on January 15th. I think that's going to be a battle. Montgomery County's a very nice basketball team this year, and we know GRC is as well. And those two battling in a district matchup will be worth the price of admission. Bourbon County this week, as mentioned earlier, they got Scott County at home. That'll be a really good test for them. And then they got GRC. So 2 rough games before they get Highlands Latin coming going to Highlands Latin next Friday on the 16th of January. So the 2 games within the, end of this week and next week that'll kind of give us an idea or a little bit more on Bourbon County will be Scott County and GRC. Montgomery County, they've got Bryan Station, as I mentioned earlier. And then on Saturday, this will be one that you might want to get to if you're not going to attend the All A Classic. They got Princeton out of Cincinnati, Ohio, coming to the Joe B. and Denny Classic at Montgomery County. And if I'm not mistaken, Princeton just had a 5-star kid transfer in, and maybe the first kid in Ohio who got NIL money, or maybe the reason why he came to Ohio was Ohio can offer NIL money. I don't know the guy's name, but I've read about him, or I've read a story about him a week or so ago. So if you get a chance on Saturday and you're not going to attend the Class A tournament, Montgomery County's hosting the Joe B. and Denny Classic. Some other games there that day will be, I will show you. They got a whole slate schedule for the Joe B. and Denny. All right. All right. The Taylor County versus Fairdale will be at 2 p.m. Then there's a Princeton and Montgomery County at 8 p.m. You got Bardstown and Oldham County at 4 p.m. And then you got Bowling Green and Madison Central at 6 p.m. So you got four solid games there starting at 2 o'clock, 2, 4, 6, and 8. I've had a chance to watch Madison Central twice on stream, whether it be NFHS or Huddle Fan. Former 10th region player and Jake Feldhouse is having a remarkable year to start off with Madison Central. So that Bowling Green, that may be a really good game to watch because Bowling Green, once again, has started off pretty hot as well. And we know that DG Sherrill's going to have those guys playing ball. And there for a while, Bowling Green, think their second home was a Rupp Arena. So, somebody with a winning tradition, and Madison Central, who's looking to compete for the 11th region crown this year, that's going to be a nice matchup. In the 9th region, because I think I talked about Campbell and Scott earlier. Talked about Pendleton County earlier. Nicholas, Harrison. What's Harrison County got coming up? Harrison County, Coach Case, I think, is Harrison County. They had a lot of bad luck to start the year. I watched their first couple games on YouTube. They stream their games on YouTube on the, I think it's WCYN channel. But they lost a close one to Bourbon County, lost a close one to Grant County. They won a close one against Bluegrass United, then Calvary Christian. Then they've lost several games here that were kind of lopsided against Middlesboro, Whitley County, Lewis County. Lost a close one to Rowan County at the Dance Works Classic over the break at Bath County. And then they played Nicholas County in their first district matchup Saturday, January 3rd, before losing 66-48. So they're playing in the 2A tomorrow, and it says that it's at Harrison County, the 2A is, but it says that two or TBA, which means that there may be only 3 teams in the Section 2A or 2A Section 5. And so that means Harrison County is probably going to play the winner of Garrett County and Lexington Catholic. So I'm not 100% sure. I can't really tell. It says one game's at 6, one game's at 7:45, but it has the Garrett County Lexington Catholic game at 7:45. So I'm not real sure who Harrison County is going to play. It says TBA on Ryherd. So if somebody out there is from Harrison County watching and you know who Harrison County is going to play in the 2A Section 5 tournament tomorrow, comment, kind of let me know. I'd like to know who they're playing so we can kind of, let our listeners know in case somebody wants to go check that out. Let's look at the 9th region here and see what they got coming up this week or in the near future. I shouldn't necessarily say this week. I'll say in the near future because I've been going a little bit past a week. And like I mentioned before, the Lloyd or the 9th region All A is probably going to be a gauntlet in itself. And like I said, I can't find a bracket on that. So if somebody has a bracket and they're wanting to share, I'll be more than happy to put it on the screen for everybody to look at. But let's look at Connor this week. Connor's got Cooper on Friday, and it seems like then it looks like they've got an extended break to where they only play on Friday, January 16th, and not again until Friday 23rd. So it looks like their next 3 games are the next 3 Fridays, the 9th, 16th, and 23rd, which will be against Cooper, Boone County, and Ryle. 3 tough games for Coach Nathan Browning. Holy Cross, they've got the 9th Region All-A tournament coming up, next week. But this week they got Lloyd Memorial at home. They got Holmes at home. And then on Saturday, they got Campbell County at home. So Campbell County don't really have much time to lick their wounds over the crosstown shootout. They got to get back in ready because they got Holy Cross coming up after they got the Trailblazers, then Trailblazers from Westchester, and then Augusta. So Campbell County's got a busy week. Beechwood, they've also got the All-A Classic. Covington Catholic, Coach Jake Thielen, who's a friend of the show, was on the show a couple weeks ago. They've got this coming Friday, January 9th, they've got Beechwood at home. That is a district matchup. We talked about that 35th district there and how they all 3 of those teams are solid. But Beechwood has them at Covington Catholic on Friday before Beechwood goes into the All-A. And then Covington Catholic's got Holmes next Tuesday and then Walton Verona before they have Highlands next Friday, which that'll probably be a matchup that you want to mark on your calendar. Friday, January 16th, Cov Cath at Highlands. Speaking of Highlands, they got Cincinnati Hills Christian Academy tomorrow. They're going to have Brossart come to Highlands on Thursday. Then on Saturday, they got Lexington Christian Academy. The next week, they got Dixie Heights and Cov Cath. So, like I said earlier, and like I'm going to say again, there's no easy nights in the 9th Region. Every night you got somebody that if you don't bring your A game, they're going to send you home with an L. Trying to look here. Lloyd, we mentioned, they've got Covington Holy Cross. They got Scott. Newport Central Catholic, Brossart, Great Crossing. So Lloyd Memorial's got a rough week or so coming up. Holy Cross tomorrow, Scott on Friday. Both those are road games, and they return home for Brossart, Great Crossing, and Newport Central Catholic. So NCC, they're preparing for the 9th Region All-A basketball tournament this week. They have Holmes, Bellevue, and Ryle. So Coach Jake Loon has only 2 wins, but the schedule he's played has been kind of rough, which is a common theme for 9th Region. They've played before Christmas at the Archbishop McNicholas, and then post Christmas they played at East Jessamine Holiday Basketball Tournament. So then on Saturday they had to go to Covington Catholic. So they got Holmes, Bellevue, and Ryle before they go to the 9th Region All-A Basketball Tournament, to where they'll play the winner of one of the first round games. Boone County, they start out really hot, winning 3 in a row, and then they've lost their last 4, but once again lost to Newport, Western Hills, Lexington Christian, and they also lost a tough one to Calvary Christian in the Swagger Classic. They got Ryle this Friday. The next Friday they got Connor. So the next 2 Fridays they got tough opponents. And I know Coach Todd Humphrey pretty well. I've had the pleasure of coaching against him on the girls' side when he was Boone County girls coach. So to be quite honest, he does a good job. So I expect him to have Boone County pointed in the right direction before the season's over. Newport, haven't really talked about them much yet. They also played in the Scott Winter Classic before Christmas. They lost to Simon Kenton before beating Cooper. And then they played all 3 days in the Swagger Holiday Classic at Bellevue. They lost a close one to Evangel Christian before beating Boone and Scott. Then after the new year, they've played Louisville, Ohio at Harvest Prep School. Not real familiar with Louisville, Ohio. However, Woodward Career Technical. I think that's the team that beat Beechwood by 1, that Scott beat by 4. So they seem to be making their way through the 9th region. And then they got Bellevue in the first round of the 9th region All-A basketball tournament. So Coach Snap's going to have the Newport Wildcats ready for the All-A. Ryle, like I mentioned earlier, only had 3 wins on the season before upsetting Highlands at home on Saturday, 68-60. That's a huge win for Coach Dorning at Ryle. And he's, like I said, he doesn't have a chance to rest, or he's got Beechwood coming up tomorrow, and then he's got Boone County on Friday with NCC on Saturday. So Ryle's got a few tough ones coming up. St. Henry, check in on my man, Coach Tim Sullivan. They played in the Henry County Invitational Tournament over break, going 1-2. They lost a heartbreaker to Henry County on Saturday before beating Holy Cross out of Louisville on Sunday. Then they lost a lopsided one to South Oldham on Monday the 29th. Then they played Dixie Heights to open up the new year. And now they got Villa Madonna, and then they got Calvary Christian, and then they got Ludlow in the All-A. After Ludlow, they got Holmes and Boone County, which, that gives them about 4 or 5 games in a row there for them to be really competitive and have a chance to get on a roll. So, and we all know what kind of coaching job Coach Sullivan does. So we know that St. Henry's not going to be down long. I've already talked about Beechwood, Ludlow, Coach Dan Sullivan. We didn't have a show that week, but I thought it was really cool about Campbell County honoring their team that was coached by Coach Sullivan when Ludlow came to Campbell County. They went to the Dan Sports Classic in Bath County, losing to West Carter and Rowan County before beating Bath County. They got Bellevue coming up, and then they got St. Henry in the first round of the All-A. So, want to talk about KDA, another one of our sponsors to elevate your spaces. KDA is a leader in the K-12 furniture market from the 1st region to the 16th. We have helped countless districts across the state redesign existing rooms as well as create visions for brand new buildings. Reach out to Jackson Strong via email at jackson@kdaspaces.com or call 859-910-6750 with any questions or requests. Jackson is an assistant coach, or the varsity assistant for Pendleton County, very familiar with Kentucky high school basketball, and he wants to thank all the players, coaches, and officials who make high school basketball a special time of year. So thanks to Jackson and KDA for their continued support of the Stay Hot podcast. So, all right, with that being said, also want to quick shout out to Evan Dennison, hoping he gets well soon. Hurry back. This isn't easy to do by yourself. Once you have to do it by yourself, you have a lot more respect for when you have somebody there with you. You got time to go look through the results and things while the other person's talking instead of trying to do 2 things at once. But I do want to say, hope he feels better. We tried to get Josh Cobb of Lincoln KY to sub for him, but he's also down with the stomach bug. So it's a nasty thing going around. So anybody who's out there, stay healthy, stay well. Hope you feel better. But with that being said, we will be back on next week. Hopefully have an update on the 9th, and actually not the 9th, but we'll have an update on the 10th region All-A because those games start the 10th. It's actually the 13th before the 9th region All-A starts. So we'll have an update from the week. I think Evan wants to give you an update on his current status of top teams in the 9th region, kind of reevaluated those. A lot of people have moved in and some have moved out. Some have played well, some haven't. But with that being said, I just want to say best of luck to all teams in the 9th region and 10th region participating in the All-A. Best of luck to anybody else in the games that they're playing. Stay injury-free, and we'll see you next week. Stay hot.
Yo, check it. 9th and 10th regions, stand up. I say stand up. Stand up. Bright lights shining, about to put on the show. The Stay Hot podcast where the real ones go. High school hoops, future legends on deck. Talking next up, star sport and Nike check. From the hardwood grind to the highlight play. Breaking ankles, dropping dimes, scoring every way. Chasing big moments in every manner. From driveway dreams to championship banners. It's the passion, the culture, the hustle, the grind. Every jumper, every crossover, greatness defined. Shooting the deep three or rocking the rims on a small town stage or in sold out gym. So lace up your kicks, turn the volume up. The season don't end till we get to rough. Future legends in the making, every player grinds. A Stay Hot podcast where the stars align.